Well, hello, it's Sunday. I had some great comments on the video, the roll video. I appreciate y'all. Yeah, I try to take care of Mama the best I can, being as sick as I've been. And it all has worked out with the Lord's help. So I had gotten this corn, got it all taken care of, and I thought, I've got to do something with that corn, and that's got to be today. Used to when I was a little boy, they'd go out in the corn, get it in the field, and check it all. And we had probably still got it, but we had a big old corn sheller for the corn that was already drying out to where you couldn't put it up, can it or freeze it. So we'd sit out there and shell that corn with the old corn sheller. And then Mother and Granny would get their cream corn grater, and they'd make pots of this stuff, sit out there under the shade tree, and then you can cut it off the cob just like that. Takes a while. So finally I invested into a little corn cob. You put your corn cob in there, and these teeth here, push down on it, and that gets your goodie off of there into your bowl. So that's what I'm doing. Instead of cutting it off like I've done for years, like this. You can do that. I'm going to show you all that way in case you don't have a deal. You don't go too deep because you don't want to get that old cob into your stuff. So that just cut it on down, and you just get all that off you can. Now, one thing I've noticed about this little corn thing here is that it doesn't get sometimes as close as I want. Plus, you've got to have, let me get my bowl over here. You've got to have, because your starch in here. So when you get through grating your corn off the cob, you've got to sit here and scratch that to get that starch to go down in your bowl too. Because that's what makes good fried cream corn, making sure that starch is down in there. You don't want to waste none. So see, now that cob there is quite clean, and there's a starch on our knife, see. So I'm going to go ahead and get all these done. Let me show you how easy that is. Let me get this thing here off. This has got teeth on one side. So you just take your corn cutter and just kind of center your cob down into that and just push. And that cuts that off. See how that just cuts that off. Now, this and I got it at Walmart. I had to order it. Let me show you. Now, see, there may be some left on there, so you run it back the other way. See there? So that does pretty good. Instead of having to sit there and cut that and cut that and cut that. And then if you see that you need to, you just take your knife over these and go ahead and scrape the starch out. And it does just, it's quicker and it'll do just as good. So let me sit here and get these done and I'll be back to see y'all. Well, there for a minute I thought it was going to look like a tornado come through here. And I thought I'll show y'all the last two of those cobs, and we'll visit a minute. It's like if y'all were here, we'd be out there in the shade tree doing this. Get us a fan. See, there's still a few little niblets there. Cut that on off. Some of the people don't like corn, and I don't understand why. I guess just like I like most all stuff. So now you get your teeth and put it right down. I'll tell you, just go right around there like that. And then pull this, get this in, and pull it once you get far enough. Okay, let's do this last one. And so you just kind of turn it. And boy, don't that save. Don't that save. That saves you. Arm power and make sure you scrape that off of there. Now, Billie Jean can't take on. Let me get this mess cleaned up. Billie Jean can't eat those kernels, so I do another extra step that you don't have to do. But I'll be back in just a sec. Okay, I kind of got it cleaned up. I had to stop and get some tea, and I'm going to tell y'all, I'm really loving this y'all sweet tea. You know, I've got all kinds of teas, every kind of tea that you'd want. And that's why I told Mother we're going to do a taste test to see. But I had to stop to get me some tea because I don't want to get too hot today. I got a little hot yesterday, and I sure didn't feel good last night. But that's just the way life is. I don't know how our ancestors could have worked out in those fields like they did, but they did. Okay, get me a skillet off the nail, black iron skillet. I'm going to set that down there. Y'all, them rolls, I took those rolls out. I was going to show y'all. I took those rolls out of that pan last night and put them in this Ziploc bag. These rolls will be good. Just as good today, just as good tomorrow as they were yesterday. So let's turn our fire on. And I hope y'all are staying out of this hot weather. If you're somewhere where it's hot, not have the pretty, them little corn, I know what they're called. I used to call them hairs, corn hairs, but they're not. They're something else. So I'm just going to put, let me see how much I can get in this one skillet. If not, I may have to. I always cook it in the same skillet. This skillet has been used, I bet you, 100 years for cooking corn. So I think we can do it. we can do it. My sweet little friend Shirley gave me this bowl. I think of her often, and I don't contact her often, and I should be ashamed of myself, as they say. But there's so much that goes on right here that I can't have time to think sometimes. All right, so to that, let me just get some water in that bowl, because I want to cover that corn. Look at all that starch. See that starch that was left over? You want to cover this corn. You want to cover that corn and cook it until that gets, cook that down until that gets done, soft. We'll try to do it there, and I think that'll be fine. We'll just put it on about a 4, and I'll leave my spoon out. Now I can get a lid down here. Doesn't really matter which lid. This one I had on my eggs. I thought I had a bigger lid. Oh, this one will be all right. We'll just stick it. Not so sure that's the one I want. I like one that kind of sets up on it. And I've got it. But finding it is one thing. And I'm wondering if I shouldn't get that, to make that sure that cooks even. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer into that Global Home stainless steel pan. You could do it in that, but I think it's going to take a lot longer to cook, and we want to get this over with, so we can eat, so we can eat our food, because we still got that roast, y'all, and that's going to be good, that roast with cream style corn. Let's just get our big Global Home, and we'll pour our corn down in that. Don't waste a drop. Don't waste a drop. Now then, that gives it some room. If it wants to boil, it can boil. If it wants to sit there and look at me, it can sit there and look at me. I love this stainless steel skillet they sent me. I really do, y'all. The Corot pans I loved, but the bottom of them got discolored. I didn't like that. So, this one we know we don't have a lid. I have to get the cookie sheet. The old cookie sheet. One of them. Looks like the Dickens. But it's okay. Ain't nothing like old products. If y'all notice that, everything else seems to wear out, but not old products. I'm just we're gonna let that just cook. I would say 30 minutes. You want it tender. So let's put our cookie sheet on there. Turn it down to about a 4. And I'll be back. Some of y'all had asked about iron skillet. Well, what I do is I wash it out good. Then I take some oil. It could be Crisco, it could be olive oil, it could be whatever. And before I put it back on the nail, I just grease it real good. Just Then, when you're ready to use it, that old iron skillet will be there waiting on you. I can hear the corn bubbling, so we've still got quite a few minutes. But I just thought before I hung that on the nail, I'd come back and tell y'all that. If y'all have never made cream style corn, you better try it. If you like corn at all, and there's a few I know that don't care for it, but I grew up on it. I love it. I like it. I love biscuits. I love anything that they say is bad for you. But I want to die happy, so that means I'm going to eat it. Less the salt, though. I'm really trying to follow my doctor's orders to make sure. Let me get one of my puppets. My little puppet. I haven't got its eyes on yet. Maybe one day. See how if you stir it every once in a while, that'll help it cook a little quicker. There we go with that. And gosh, today being Sunday, we take it for granted, I guess, that the world will just keep on turning, and I guess it will. But I told Mom, try not to watch news, because she gets so upset, y'all. And those AI things, I did that one show on that. Finally, she got off of that Nancy Guthrie murder case, and she hadn't got back on another one, thank you, Jesus, because I just couldn't deal with that. She thought that woman was coming home, and this everything they said on that YouTube AI, YouTube was true. It was true. And before that, it was political. Everything was true. I said, Mother, it's not true. Well, they say it is. I said, well, just because they say it is doesn't mean it's true. They're trying to get followers, just like we do on our recipes. I said, I'd rather not even have a show if I lied one time about anything, because I'm just wasn't brought up that way. And this AI is sure something she hadn't been brought up at 94 years old. They barely had I don't even think they had a crank telephone till she was a young girl. I know they didn't have electricity till she was probably in high school, and they took a bath in the kitchen in a old galvanized bathtub. And she said they were getting ready to go to town to the show on a Saturday. I only went to town on Saturday. Can you believe that? And she said all of a sudden they'd set the wires and stuff up, the power company, months before the lights come on around lunch on that Saturday. And she said, boy, it was a glorious day. I've still got the table. They had coal oil, or coal oil. Some of y'all know what it is. That's just like a lamp oil, or you can use coal oil. I've still got lamps that's got coal oil in them that we had in our storm cellar. And she was studying or reading by this little old table. I've still got it in yonder. You can tell it's been burnt. She knocked that coal oil lamp over, and it caught the drapes on fire, and it caught that table on fire. And I think my grandpa ran and threw the lamp out the door. I can't remember for sure. We do get forgetting sometimes. See how that corn's cooking down? Smells good. I wish y'all was here, you could smell this. Wish we had smell-o-vision, because there is childhood memories when you do stuff like this, and I imagine y'all encountered it too. So let's just let that cook down. And see that condensation? It gets everywhere. And I'll be back when I get that corn so we can finish our cream style. Well, you can smell that corn. I went in there and visited with Mama a minute. And I told her, I said, I gotta go check the corn. I smell the corn. Well, see, that's gonna have to be it. Oh, that's, I'm gonna have to add more water. I'll check it first, but I don't think it's done. This thing is so hot, this spoon. Hell, I need a puppet for it. I don't know if I can use this stir pan or not. Guess I could try. That's some pretty corn, y'all. That's some pretty corn. I'm doing that about like a one-legged dog in a race. But let me see. Usually I can take my knife and tell. And it's getting there. So let's add a little, let's get puppet off there. Let's add a little more water. So I want that cooked down, y'all. You want that. You want that cooked down good. Not, it'll be. We'll let that cook probably once that gets back up. We'll get that, let that cook for about 20, not 20, about 15 more minutes once. I'm going to turn that up just a hair so we can get the show on the road. Okay, let's check the corn. Let's check the corn. It's boiled down again. Now I think that's pretty well done. Pretty well done there. So what I'm going to do is get a strainer. I'm going to strain that out and set it aside. Then I'll be back. Okay, so what I did is I strained that in this colander and real good, and then I put it in my two choppers. You know, that's that Ganzia chopper that I rave about. You don't have to do this, but since Billie Jean can't chew real well, because he don't wear his you-know-whats, and we're going to just, I'm going to show you what we do. Let me get my little chopper top. I stick that right down on there, and you can see it. Let's look at it, because you don't want to get it too fine. There. Set that there. Now see, that chopped it and got some of that starch out of that. So we'll do the other one. Just like that. I use this chopper more than anything. Then it'll break those kernels up. And that's what you want. Okay. Now this pre-prep is necessary. You can't just put that corn. You can't just put that corn in a. Guess we'll just go ahead and use our good big skillet. Turn that on. I just rinsed it out so there's still starch in it. Now I'm gonna get some bacon grease. I got some. My allergies are so bad. So bad. Let me get the cream out of the refrigerator. I say icebox, y'all say, what you talking about? Well, that's what I'm talking. Let me get a, I'm just gonna give you, been using this bacon grease. I love it. I keep it in the refrigerator. I'm gonna do about that much, which is about 2 big tablespoons. Put it back in the fridge. Let that melt. Now I would usually do this with in my skillet, like I just said, but oh boy, you can smell that bacon. We're just gonna put this corn in there and saute it just a little bit. Boy, that smells like I just fried deal. Now I'll take these little paddles out of our little deal here. Don't waste nothing. Yeah, that Ganja chopper that was on sale comes with a metal bowl and let me turn that down, and a glass bowl and 2 chopper blades, the lid. Okay, so now you can put some of this. Oh, get that out. Get this one out. Lord, you don't want to rinse that out and stick that in that pan, or you'll be, that grease will pop all over you. So you have to be just real careful. So you can't rinse these out. Okay. Let's just kind of saute that around a little bit. And that bacon grease to get the flavor, see. See how that, let me turn it up a little bit. Okay, let me get some, about a cup and a tablespoon and a half. Let me get my little mixture of stuff here. I'm gonna get, I'm not gonna get that big old deal out. I'm just gonna get, oh, that's cooking down there. Okay, let me get 1.5 tablespoons. Probably with that much, I'm gonna do 3 tablespoons of flour. Then I'm gonna get some sugar. I'll just use a pure cane sugar. We'll do about 2 tablespoons, or 2. These are teaspoons, so I can do the tablespoons. You want it good sweet corn. So No, let me. Yeah. Okay, now we gotta add salt and pepper, which you can do. Just add it to your corn. Add your salt. Get that mixed in there. So now we got our flour. Now I've got cream. You can use half and half of cream. And I'm going to use cream. So I'm going to do about a cup and a half of cream. That's a cup. That's about a half. So do a cup and a half of cream, and then I'll do a half cup of water. Let me see. Let me put some water in this. Let me stir that now. Getting those little dregs on the bottom. But see, that's going ahead and cooking that on down the way you want it done. The problem, here we go using our bowl again, but that's all right. I keep this bowl out here because it's a good at mixing my stuff in. You know, let me get my little whisk, baby whisk, and I'll just add flour to that. Flour and sugar. Whisk that around. This is what your thickener is. Might add just a hair more water because I didn't quite get it to the top. Okay, let's just pour that in our pan there, like that. So that makes a full pan of that corn. You want to get that off of there. May burn it a little bit, but if it does, it ain't gonna hurt nobody. Let me taste that and see that that is correct. A little more salt and pepper. Well, you can taste that cream in it. I like pepper. Yeah, I like pepper. I like salt. Turn that on down, just let it. See, it's thickening up now. That's what you want. Get this out of the way. And, oops. Well, just put that on low, low, low. We'll just let that cook maybe 20 or so minutes. It's already thickening up. Let me get my cream and put it back in the fridge. See, since I parboiled or cooked that corn to start with, this step sometimes don't take but about 5 or 10 minutes. Depends. I'll put y'all a recipe on there and you can follow it pretty good, I'm pretty sure. That's some good cream.